Yeah, extra, extra. Hear all about it on tonight's episode of Strikeout Bros. What's going on, Lash?
What's up, man? Another week in the season, man. I can't believe it. We're almost 2.5 months away from the All Star break. So
Yeah,
teams are
it's
getting
going
hot.
fast. Yeah.
The Mets keep getting hot, and Baltimore keeps tripping over themselves. So Atlanta's getting hot too. They're back to 500. So that's exciting.
Wow. I wasn't even looking back there. I was just driving. But you say that Atlanta's right behind us now? That's what you're saying to me?
No, they're not behind you. They're still behind
Oh,
Philadelphia, but they're
oh,
um, they're back to 500.
got you, got you. All right. So today's episode is we're gonna talk a little about why bunting in baseball is on a decline, why it just doesn't even exist anymore, to be honest with you. But we'll talk about that, right? We'll talk about what's going on with all these great teams, clashing and fighting and getting into these amazing series over the last couple of weeks. I know you've seen them. Arizona went against the Dodgers. Uh, who did the Yankees play? The Yankees played
Seattle. Oh,
Seattle,
they
right?
played the Padres. They took 2 out of 3 from
Oh yeah, they
in
played the
in New York.
Padres. Yes, they played the Padres. You know, there was a lot of interesting series that were out there in the last couple of
And
weeks,
they took 2 out of 3 from
right?
Yankees on the road, and then they come to New York after. So,
And then
Flushing to be
the
precise.
Cubs, the Cubs played the Mets. The Cubs, that was a big one right there. That's the one that we're gonna talk about that stuff. We're gonna talk about
Yeah, that
True
was a good
Guys.
series.
Yeah, that was a good series. That was a really good series. I want to say it was a scary one for me, but we survived.
It's the name of the game. Survive, right?
That's what it is. Right now, the Mets are playing Pittsburgh in the last game of the series. We already beat them. We're gonna talk about that
We
series as
won the
well.
series.
We
Yeah.
won the series. This is the third game of the series. If we can win this one, great. But it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. It looks like the bats aren't coming. The bats aren't gonna come. This whole series is weird. I don't know. We couldn't hit the ball. I don't understand. But we still won the games, but can't hit the ball. So weird.
Well, you're gonna have to come back today, like you did yesterday. So two
Yeah, we're
nothing
losing
is
2-0.
not insurmountable against a really bad Pirates bullpen. So, like your chances.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, let's see what happens. But anyway, the bunt, right? So before we get into that, we wanna say that this is a season that we definitely did not expect to go in this way. I thought the Mets were gonna be good. I thought they were gonna fight and try to, get over Philly and Atlanta. I didn't think we were gonna you know, come off like that. And Baltimore, I expected the same exact thing on the other side, but it
Yeah,
didn't
man,
happen
they're a
like that.
mess.
A lot of things happened this year that were very funny and that I can't explain. Pete Alonso, the Soto. There's a lot of things that are happening, that are really, really weird. Aaron Judge hitting like he doesn't need anybody. He's like, yo, I'll put this team on my back. Let's go. And his team is doing well. I think his team is doing better than a team that would have had a Soto in it. There's a lot of funny things happening. All these teams are coming out of the woodworks. Chicago, San Francisco's trying really hard to stay above.
Arizona,
Arizona, you know, there's a lot of
Milwaukee, and the
teams.
Cubs are fighting each other.
St. Louis. What about St.
Cleveland
Louis?
Indians are getting hot right now. St. Louis is
Yeah,
getting hot. Yep.
St. Louis is
So
getting hot.
that's why I'm not worried. It's I'm not gonna hit the panic button on the Orioles yet because the season's still young, and they're just way too talented to just completely collapse. I don't see that happening. I don't know what
Yeah,
they're gonna have to do. That's why I don't want to give up yet. But I don't blame other people for giving up just because you're watching from a distance and you see what I see, and it's just from the worst. They have no pitching, and offense is slowly getting it together, but doesn't matter. They're still losing games. They scored 9 runs in against the Twins, and they lost both games. And one of the games they were up 6-4, and they blew it, or they're up 6-4. So just tells you it's a bullpen issue.
yeah, it's there. But I mean, you guys aren't hitting the ball either, though.
No, but today they did. They hit combined 3 home runs. Not that great, but they scored runs. What I'm looking for is can they score runs? They scored 9 runs in the 2 games,
Yeah,
and they had a
that's
good
not bad
they
for
had a
them.
good series on the West Coast. They scored 7 in the last game, and they won 2 out of 3. But Minnesota's a hot team. Minnesota's on a 9 game winning streak, so that's
See,
another
that's
team
crazy
that
too.
surprised me.
Another team is yeah. There you go. You see, another team. I like it. If you can do that, if you can get 10 wins in a row, just cause you can do it. You get into a groove and you start feeling yourself, and the
You
pitching
just got to
starts.
get on the streak. That's it.
Exactly. That's it. Catch the wave. There's gonna be a team that sucks. You're gonna kill them. That's what you have to do.
All right, Chicago's down 3-1 now.
All right. So on today's episode, I know you're watching on the sidelines. I'm watching too.
Bunting is
Listen,
a big issue.
big bunting is a big issue for me. I feel like bunting is a lost art for me.
It's a lost art for these players, not you. You're not. You know what I mean?
I know,
Because
but you know what I'm saying though. It's like all right, like a situation. I'm looking at it as it unfolds, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity for a bunt. But they don't see it that way. It's kind of weird. But this is what's going on right here. There's a change in pitcher usage, right? So that means that the pitcher's not batting anymore in the National League. All right. So the pitcher in the ninth hole in the lineup would be a good candidate, right, for bunting because it makes sense. They really can't hit some of them, it's rare. So you tell him to lay down a nice little bunt to advance the runner. You agree, yes or no?
yeah, that's what that was their. Depends on the situation. That was their main job title on offense. If there's a man on base, get the guy over. But there's nobody on, then they just let him free
That let
swing.
him, yeah, free swing.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's true. No, you're right. But, you know, that was the objective, right? But now we don't have that. So that takes away a little something. But I'm talking about the talented guys. I'm talking about the fast guys. I'm talking about those leadoff guys that,
oh,
you
like
know,
Corneas.
those number ones on the lineup. I think it's a lost art for them. I think that situation, can sometimes surprise the other team, especially in a situation where you need to get a leadoff man. And if
Yeah,
you're not practicing that art, I don't know. So, and then with the shift and all that, if with the analytics and all that hot bullshit, right? But look, now they make the players set up properly, don't they? Right? So it's not like you have to set up properly. You just can't shift to one side completely in the infield, right? They took it
yeah.
away. They took it away. So
Which I'm
now,
glad they did.
no, me too, because I know you hate analytics in baseball. It's like okay, I know you hate that you hate the analytics because of the pitching, especially the pitching, because you feel like if a guy's
That's where it's
going well,
affected the most. Same thing,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Same
true.
thing. It's true on offense too because, for example, let's say Alonso's been hot. What happens if they sit him? Oh, because the analytics say he needs a rest. That's stupid. And the way you're gonna sit
Well,
your best guy? They've done that before.
yeah, it's true. I mean, but look, Soto's sitting now because he's struggling, and it's
Well,
apparent.
that's a
The
different
game,
story. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes sense, right? But now it's like, okay, he's admitting to it. I mean, he's not in charge of, whether or not he plays. That's not his job. His job is to show up healthy, right? And produce and try to produce because, it's a funny sport. You can go through streaks of, nonsense of I can't hit. And then you go through streaks where you're like amazing. You feel like Superman and you can
Yep.
carry a team. But it depends on, the wave you're catching. Now, this bunting situation, it's weird. Like I said, it's not happening. So because of the shift and all this, but you know what? You don't have to worry about the shift now. So you can actually try to lay down a bunt, right? And then all right, they're saying that it's super hard to like bunt against this like new age pitching because they're throwing so hard, you know, that it's really hard to lay down a bunt.
Well, because what happens is like, see, the reason why it's hard because, for example, when you're swinging, you're matching your bat speed with the ball that's coming. With the bunt,
I'm
there's no
laughing
speed.
already. Yeah.
With the bunt, there's no speed. You're slowing down, And the problem is when you got slow back against a fast ball, it's just gonna kill the ball right then and there. It might ricochet. Either what happens is it ricochets really high, or it goes right to the guy, or it goes out of bounds most of the time. There's no the days of a slow roller or you know they don't happen as much.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I know exactly what you're saying. All right.
Or what happens is the infielder thinks, oh, he bunted, it's gonna go slowly, and he or overplays the ball, and it goes completely past him, and then it's like now what should be an easy out becomes a hit.
You're right. I agree. This is crazy. You see, but when I grew up and I was watching baseball, man, you would see a couple of bunts here and there, throughout throughout the game on a regular basis. A lot of stealing, a lot of bunting, and pitchers could go, 9 innings if they felt like they could. Nobody was stopping that.
Nope.
They weren't stopping that. They were like, if this guy can go 9 innings, sure, why not? Let's make it happen.
Let him bunt, especially if the guy's throwing a no hitter or one hitter. You know,
Yeah, I
like
mean that's
like
fucked up.
Carl, what's the name? Johan Santana, former Met, when he threw that no hitter. He was still playing in the time when that happened. He was still batting.
Yeah, it was still batting. Yeah, that's right. It was a
And he
pitcher's
couldn't
night.
bat to save his life, but he did enough to he could drag. He can easily do a drag bunt.
It's pretty crazy. So, and I want to talk about the numbers here because I have a couple of numbers here that I found. And it's pretty crazy. You're not gonna believe this. All right, so it goes back to 2002. In 2002, that season, 772 bunts. Right,
Wow, that's a lot
right. That's a lot
in one
for
season.
in one season. Right. All right. The year after that, it went up a little to 86, 786. And then now here you start seeing a decline. 2004 to 2007, it went down all the way to 684, right?
Wow,
And then the decline continued until in 2010, it was at 679. Then for some reason, there was a spike. There was a spike in bunting in 2011 and 2012, 750, 724. Then the decline, decline, decline. All right, now this is when it starts getting scary. In 2017, 508, right? And then the decline from 2017 to 2019. In 2019, 386 for the whole year, the whole league,
wow, that's impressive.
right? And 2020, this is, I think, at the lowest, 132. All right. So that means that it was completely forgotten about altogether. In 2020. They were like, the what? The
But that
butt.
was the
Fuck the
COVID year.
butt.
Remember?
That was the
That was
COVID
the
year?
COVID
Yes.
year.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yes. But the numbers
So
still, though, the
yeah.
numbers are dramatically super low,
Remember, it
even
was low.
still.
Remember, it was
It
only
was
60
60,
games,
60, 60
so it doesn't
games.
make a difference.
Okay. Doesn't make a
Think about
difference.
it.
All right. So, 2021 then? Look at that.
That's the beginning of the first year after COVID. So I don't know about that, but
313. 313. All right. All right. So, all right. Now, so if you don't think that's a dramatic change, here we go now. Last year, how many bunts you think that the whole league as a crew laid down? 167 bunts. The bunt doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't even
yeah.
exist anymore.
Well, because because baseball is trying to get. You know why that is? Because baseball is trying to make it exciting, hip, and flashy. And bunting is not an exciting play to watch.
I
Everyone
think
wants
it
a home
is.
run.
I think it
I like
is.
it because you're forcing a non-athletic pitcher. Because let's be honest with you, to be a pitcher, there's not too many pitchers that are also athletic. Where they can run to the ball quickly, pick it up, and throw. And a lot of pitchers aren't like that. Because they're like 6'5" and they got massive bodies, so they're not as fast on their feet as if you had like a small pitcher pitching. So it's harder for them to get to a bunt. And and remember, when you're tall, you gotta bend all the way over and try to get the ball and throw it. They're not used. Pitchers aren't used to that. How many pitchers do you know that ground the ground ball? Not too many. So that's a big disadvantage for someone that's tall, and most pitchers are tall. So that's, you know, it's I don't know. That's maybe that's just my theory as to why, uh, why it's not as of they're not doing as much.
So now we're gonna talk about the guy that put it together, the best bunter, right? Brett Butler. He played for the Mets, the Giants, the Dodgers. He played for all three of these teams, right? And his success rate was 57%. That's more than half.
Ooh,
That's pretty amazing.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And that was before, remember Billy Hamilton of the Cincinnati Reds a couple years ago? He was known as or Ricky Henderson. Well, no, that was more
Nah,
soon, but Billy Hamilton, he could, I think it was Hamilton. It's always the fast guys that you have to worry about when it comes to
yeah,
bunting because
bunting exactly.
they're so fast that they can get to, a bunt is like is a guaranteed base hit for them. And then it puts more pressure on the defense because they know that guy's fast. I got to hurry up. So they're not going to take their time throwing the ball. So they're most likely going to, mess up throwing the ball. You know what I mean?
Man, it's pretty crazy. So he his single season record is 29 for a year in 92,
Wow.
which is yeah, 29 in one season. That's crazy, right?
For one guy,
Oh
yeah.
man, the Mets are trying. The Mets are trying.
I know, man. First and second, the guy missed that ball. He should have the outfielder on the Pirates. He should have made literally like anybody would have made that play, and he just completely botched it. But anyway, which is scary because Nimmo was in the he couldn't leave first because he couldn't tell if the guy caught the ball. And once he realized he didn't catch it, he had to hustle, and because of that, he could have got thrown out. But it was a bad throw, so the Mets lucked out.
Yeah, here
Who's
we
that bat?
go.
Tyrone Taylor. Yeah, he
Tyrone
needed a base hit.
Taylor. He needs a base hit. Bottom of the fourth, man on first and second. One
Just need a
out.
base hit. They nope. Is that home? No, pop up. Damn it.
Man, I would like to
That's not
sweep
gonna
these
work.
guys before playing the Yankees. It would be nice, you know. It would be
See,
nice.
that's gonna be a good test for the Mets.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they could take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, which I think they can because I think the pitching is a little better than the Mets. Oh, than the Yankees. The best pitcher for the Yankees is Max Fried.
yeah. And we've seen Max Fried a million times.
He's great, man. He
Yeah,
knows the
he's
Mets,
great.
so that's
He
what's
knows
gonna
the
be
Mets
fun.
very, yeah.
But I don't know if he's gonna be pitching in the series because I think he pitched I think he pitched yesterday or today, and yeah, so he might be avoiding him. Actually, he might be lucky. I think he pitched
Nah,
today or yesterday against
we'll see him the
Seattle.
next
So,
time around. He can come to City Field, then that's fine.
oh, that's true. That's
You
true.
know, next time around when we play again.
Luis Angel Acuna's at bat. Let's see if we can get a home run.
So a couple of episodes ago, we were just talking about whether or not Pete Rose should be inducted, right? And
Yes, into the Hall of Fame.
right? And guess what happened, man? He hasn't been
And Shoeless
inducted.
Joe Jack. Was it? Who was it? Shoeless Joe Jack. Who else
Yeah,
was?
Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose.
Yeah, all people who are no longer on this earth. Makes no
Yeah,
sense, man.
exactly. Which
Drives me
that's that.
crazy.
I don't know. So that's the new rule now. So
What, you got to be
it's a
dead to get into the Hall
it's
of
a
Fame?
lifetime ban, right? It's a lifetime. So once you pass away, boom, you get to you qualify for the Hall of Fame after that. You know, that's what they're saying. This is what they're saying. So I mean, listen, I'm happy for him. He's gonna get you know nominated. It's gonna be unanimous because whoever dares you know to do that, they're gonna be an asshole. So I don't think that's gonna happen. It's gonna
You
be
know what I
like,
think
let's get it
baseball
over
should.
with. What's that? What do you think?
I think what baseball should do instead of a lifetime ban, just do a 10 year. You gotta wait 10 years in order to qualify, just qualify, because that's 10 years after you stop playing. Because I like that idea because you still have a chance. Then you know what I mean. All right, I gotta wait 10 years before I qualify. Cool. By then, things will have healed, and relationships would have been sewn back together, and once remember these players, they're not bad people. They just hated the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But baseball fans,
yeah,
be like, oh my gosh, Alex Rodriguez. I know I was one of those guys. I hated A Rod because he cheated during the game, but now he's not. He he sowed his reputation, fixed it, and he's doing great. And I think he's a great announcer and all that, or analyst. But I think that's better than just banning the poor guy and then what? And then you can put him after he dies. Like if I'm a family, I'm like, don't even bother. I don't want to celebrate. My guy's not here. You know, it's
Yeah.
stupid.
No, but for the fans, it's good for the fans. You can't say it's not good for the fans. So
But
I
the Hall of
like
Fame
it.
is not for the fans; it's for the player.
I know, but but remember, he has a better shot at being remembered as one of the greats being there, you know? Because then I gotta put a sign saying, "Oh, Pete Rose would have been right here for the most hits in baseball history," right? But he
Mm,
was a cheater, so we don't have him here. So now kids, that they would have to look it up. They would have to say, you know what? Who has the most hits? It's an interesting question. Who has the most? And then Pete Rose pops up. And then they're gonna wonder why he's not in the Hall of Fame. And then they have to go
yeah,
to
that's
the rabbit
true.
hole, and then
You gotta explain it.
you gotta explain it. But now he's in there. They can also say it's an interesting story, but I'm happy that it's gonna happen for him. You know, even still, even still.
Yeah, he
But
fine. He fine. He did his time. And like I said, you do a 10-year ban. You do your time, and then you come back. That's what I would do. This lifetime ban. But the people that made that decision, those that commissioner is no longer around or alive for that matter. You know what I mean? So, um, it's I think whoever the new commissioner is or wherever it is should just say, okay, cool, let's change it. If you wanna make your sport, here's the thing with baseball, right? They're just trying so hard to make the sport evolve and be relevant. You can't make it relevant if you got your best players from your past not in the Hall of Fame, and that's what they're I think starting to realize. Like, okay, yeah, they did this, and that, but you know what? These guys were stars. They were amazing. So now the question is, okay, if Pete Rose got in, will Barry Bonds get in? I say no because he physically affected the
that's the
game
game.
with his
Yes,
own
with
controllability.
yes,
Same thing with A Rod, like Griffin. He's in already, but still, you know what I mean.
yeah. No, no, no.
Like
That's
Judge or
different. That's
Trout.
different. That's
They're
different.
gonna get in.
Yeah, they're gonna get in for sure, but not that way. Pete Rose. Yes, like you said, he cheated. He gambled on his team to win, so it's different. It's
Yeah.
not like he was tanking plays to lose. That's not how that works.
Now he could technically tell a player, "Hey, strike out here." The player could just say, "Screw you! I'm trying to get money. I don't care. I'm gonna just do what I want." You could do that, but
Nah,
uh,
that would be front page news. Think about
I
that.
don't think that was happening. He probably, it's maybe it was a time when he first started with the Reds where he knew that team was terrible. So he knew, like, if I bet on against my team, I'm always gonna make money because I know my, like, for example, it's like if let's say a name on the let's say it is Bobby Doyle. He's the best player on the Colorado Rockies, right? So it's like he knows, right? He knows that they're bad. It's not. He could be like, you know what, my team's bad. I'm gonna just bet against them all the time because we're not going anywhere. We're not trying. That would be bad too because he's physically not trying. You know,
Yeah, but
because you as a player only can control you. You can't control a team.
yeah, but you can change one mistake, an error in a game can change everything. All right. Like the other night, I saw Acuna made a couple of errors because they moved him to third in the late innings, and I guess he couldn't adjust because he was playing second all night, and he was making some really bad errors. And I was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna lose this game," but we survived. But things like that, you can cause that error. You can say, "Oops, oh, I missed the ball," and that'll cause a run to come in, and that can change everything, especially in the
Yeah.
late innings where there's not enough time to try to get that run back. So now we're gonna talk about this journey that the Mets. have been going on, right? So we came back to City Field, and I know and Chicago was gonna be waiting for us when we got there, and Chicago wasn't feeling good. I think somebody had who got
Food
Chicago.
poisoning.
Nah.
Oh,
Yeah, if you want to call it that, yeah. Chicago had food poisoning, and I'm gonna tell you from where right now because I remember that. It was
they
right
probably,
before.
you know
Oh, it
what it
was
was
San
from? They
Francisco. It
got
was San
the
Francisco.
they probably
San
got from them nasty
Francisco.
street dogs that you get in New York City that have been in the water, nasty water for like 7 hours straight.
Nah,
You know,
not in San Francisco. San Francisco, they got an ass whipping, right? They got an ass whipping in
San
San
Francisco's a good
Francisco.
team.
Yeah, they are, right? So they lost that series. They flew all the way back to the East Coast, right, to face the
Hmm.
Mets. And the Mets, in the first game, we made them look a little silly, right? So we won that 7-2. In the second game, Chicago won that one 6-5.
Hmm.
And in the last one, man, in the last one, the Mets win 6-2, baby. And I
Yeah,
couldn't
they
believe it. I couldn't
and,
believe it.
and that was a game where that game was what 2-2 going into the eighth inning, and they just scored what 4 runs in the
Into the
bottom, and they
last,
won.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It was pretty crazy. A
Because
little
it looked
run
like it
there.
was slipping away. I was like, oh boy, and then
Yeah.
they pulled it
But we
out.
did it.
Lindor came through. So yeah, they took 2 out of 3 from Chicago, and Chicago's a really good team. They have a really good pitching, and the surprising part is their offense is. Uh, I think it's surprising, but you might look at the lineup because how many people can name 3 guys on the besides us? How many of our listeners can name 3 guys off the top of their head on the Chicago Cubs? They
Oh
probably can
man.
name one person: Swanson, Armstrong, Tyone,
Yeah.
Amaya.
Yeah.
So.
Now there's a
But
couple of
besides
them.
that, nobody's gonna know who this unless you're a Cubs fan.
Yeah, it's true. But listen, in the first game against Talion, right? It was crazy, man, because Lindor home run. Soto, Beatty, McNeil, you know, they all hit home runs,
Yeah,
And this guy left the game in 4 innings, bro. 9 hits, 5 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. They murdered his ass out there. So it was like a statement. I was like, wow. So I'm impressed, yo. I couldn't believe it. And that was Clay Holmes, bro. That was Clay Holmes in that first game. Man, I gotta give it to him. This team is really, really doing some crazy shit out there. But the second game, though, this asshole, they had this rookie asshole, Horton. Wow, he was great. Did you catch that guy out there? You didn't catch him? You didn't see a little
no
bit of that action? Yeah, you should watch it.
replay.
Cause yeah, replay. Cause he was nasty. He really was. Let's lost that one. But the guy had control. He definitely did. But whatever, we got through that series. We won that. We beat Arizona. We came through with the Chicago series. And then we were like, it's time to relax with, Skeens and the boys. They're coming to town. But Skeens, he pitched well. He did. I was there. I was watching him. He pitched well. Kept the game tight. The game was lost when he left for them, because he was pitching well. And now look at us. We're trying to sweep these guys, but we can't score a run in this game. Fifth, top of the fifth, and we can't score a run. 2-0. Gave up on ourselves. You know? I don't know. Did you read about this Devers story with the Red Sox, bro?
Yeah, he got upset about having to. He didn't want to move to a different position and all that.
Yeah, for the second time this season. So
I was
he's
like,
upset.
I was like, bro, they just paid you all this money. Now you complaining like it drives me crazy when players do that.
Yeah,
And
you
I
know.
feel like they think that like once they get all this money, it's like, oh, you gave me all this money, now I can do whatever I want. No, it doesn't work like that.
Nah, but
They're the
this
one that's
guy,
paying you.
I know, but this guy's angry right now. And you know what's crazy about this guy? This guy's hitting the fucking ball like a madman now.
Oh boy, Mets.
He's
4
hitting.
nothing Pittsburgh.
Oh man, forget about it. That
Yeah, just
game
hit a
is
2 run
over.
home run.
Yeah, you
Nah,
know
that's
what?
the fifth
It's
inning.
not. It's the fifth inning. The Mets can get crazy, but you know what? It's okay. What are you gonna do? You know, but we play the Yankees. We take a break tomorrow, and then we gotta go to Yankee Stadium, which I'm not scared of. But this Devers, Devers is crazy because at first, what happened was he was playing third when he got signed. They gave him all this money. They say you're playing third. Alex Bergman was dangling out there for a long time this offseason. And you know what? The Red Sox said, you know what, we have all this great pitching. Let's stack up on this side too, on the other side as well. And they went and they got him, but he plays a better third base than Rafael does, right? So they said, hey, you're gonna DH now. Alex is gonna play third. He got really upset about that shit, you know? But look, he's a great DH. He's hitting the ball like a madman. Now, first baseman gets hurt. I think he's out for the whole season. They told him, hey,
Mm,
you have to play first, bro. He was like, no, I'm not playing. I'm not playing first. Because they told me
yeah,
that, you know, I wouldn't need my glove. So this guy's an asshole. But
yeah. He's
the
he's
owner had to come down and talk to him, man.
well, yeah, because he's like, dude, I gave you all this money. If I knew you were gonna play these games, I would have just let you go. But now you can't trade him because who's gonna
No,
want that money? Who's
no,
gonna
it's not
want that
even about.
contract?
He's hitting the ball like a madman. I think a lot of people
That's
will consider it. A lot of people will consider it.
I don't know. Don't,
You
I just
know,
hate when players are head cases. It's like,
prima
come on, dude.
donnas. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
gave you all this money. Stop being I
yeah.
could see if
But
you didn't get your money, fine. You be like, why am I gonna switch for you if you didn't give me my money? That makes sense. But that's not the case here. You got paid. It's like my job. You know what I mean? I might not like everything they make me do, but guess what? I do it anyway, even if I don't like it. Yeah, it stings, but guess what? If they gave me a raise, it doesn't give me the right to be like, well, you gave me a raise, so I can do whatever I want. No, I can't just do whatever I want. I still got to follow the rules, just like your job. You got to follow protocols when it comes to treating a patient. Same thing, but you know what I mean?
oh man, this is play. I'm sorry, I got excited, but you're 100
I know
percent
it was a
right.
catch. I
You
think that
saw
was a
that
catch.
catch? Yo,
That
this
was a
play that I
catch.
saw. No, it's not a catch, bro. It's not a catch.
I
Oh
gotta
man,
see it. I thought he just missed
I,
it.
it looks like a catch,
So what are they
but it's not a
reviewing?
catch. I don't know. They're reviewing whether or not that ball didn't hit the grass first, bro. Didn't
I don't
bounce.
know, man.
I think that
See.
ball. Let me see. Here we
I
go.
would. You
Oh
got
man,
judged by
it
the player's
bounced. It
reaction.
bounced on the grass. It bounced on the grass, bro.
I always say the player never lies. If you see the player not fighting, you know it didn't go the way that you
Yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
If you
Yo,
see
look,
the
they
player
overturned
fighting,
it. They
you know it
overturned
was a
it.
yeah.
They
So
overturned it.
that's good.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's okay. The ball hit
It's
the grass.
okay. It's still
It's
early, man. 4-0 is not insurmountable. Remember, the Pirates have a horrible bullpen.
Yeah, and only that the Mets could have scored 8 runs in an inning with no
Exactly.
problem. I'm not
So
worried about it yet. And it's okay. We don't need this game. It's not like a pivotal let's go home game. It's not that type of
you already won the
situation.
series, yeah.
Yeah, we won the series already. But I
Life is
would
about
like to
winning
take all
series,
the
not games.
exactly. Thank you.
So,
I agree with that. That's a
well,
statement.
anyway, back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, so this asshole, I don't call him an asshole. I don't want to call him an asshole.
Prima donna.
He's being a prima donna. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing that. And that's funny because
Oh, you want
you
me to
give
do
me
that? No, I'm too
all
good
that
for
money.
that.
I'm not doing that. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why you not doing that? That's not you're getting paid,
Yeah, he's a
you
leader of
know?
that team too.
Yeah. You're getting paid. You gotta
Yeah.
lead, bro. I'm not doing that. Like a kid, like a little kid, for real though. Prima donna, little kid. That's how I slice it.
Yeah, I don't know. But
But yeah,
Boston's not
exactly.
even doing all that great. They're barely floating above 500.
Man. Boston is gonna be okay. Don't worry about Boston. Boston needs to heat up, you know what I'm saying? The same way you have a shot, I think Boston has a shot. Boston's gonna take this the division unless you guys take it. Listen, I
No,
bleed for
I
you
see it's the
guys.
Yankee
Listen, because I
division to
feel for you.
lose.
Because my no, nah.
Don't feel bad for me. I don't feel bad because the Orioles did it to themselves. The owners knew what they had to do. They let the best pitcher, you trade all those assets for it to let him walk. You didn't give him money. You can't use excuse when I have money. The owner just has. You got a new owner who's worth like $8 billion, um, and I can't think of the owner's name right now. But anyway, you got a new owner. It's not. You don't have uh, whoever the previous owners were. I can't think of the names. But anyway, you don't have the cheapskates running the organization. So it's just like, okay, so what's the excuse? You got a green light. Um, I don't know unless their strategy is to pay all their young guys money and keep them. If that's a strategy, sure, I like it because then that means you're going to keep your core players and they're going to be around for a long time, and you can just plug in the weaknesses, which is your pitching. But we don't know that yet because none of the guys got money yet. They're in discussion right now. Rutschman, Henderson, and Holiday. Those are your three main core guys. They're about to be free agents. More so Henderson than anybody else because he's been there the longest, I think. So, or years of service.
Man, your team is falling apart, and the
Yeah.
window's falling. The window's closing, and
You ever heard that saying? It's getting late early. Well, it's
yeah,
getting late early.
yeah, it's getting late early. You're gonna have to start all over again. But you gotta squeeze this one out. You gotta get to the playoffs. You gotta start feeling good. You gotta get this pitching situation figured out early as possible, and you'll be fine because you already know what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? The team is defeated. You know what I'm saying? The team, it's like they don't even want to go out there and play because once the pitching falls apart, then there's no point. Because they're always playing from behind or whatever it is. This team is they need pitching, but we're gonna talk about that in a few. Now, this you did you read about this guy, the Astros guy, Lance McCullers Jr. receiving death threats, bro, and directed at his children on top of that. After
I
tough
hate when
starts.
fans do that, man,
Yeah, that's
because
crazy,
these
yo.
people are human beings. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I've never been like, oh my, I hate this guy. I wish he never. I've never like when I was younger, I was like that. Not like to a point I would see, and I would just say, I hope he fails for the rest of the year and never plays good. But never to a point where like, let's physically go on social media and post. That's the bad thing about social media. You can do that nowadays. Back in the early 2000s, you couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Now you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
I think
man.
it's just ridiculous, man. The guy's a human being. I don't know why he's struggling. No one knows. Astros are not that great of a team. He doesn't get the run support, so it's to blame it all on him. That's not fair. You know what I mean? But to go out, see, I always tell people, I always tell people at my job, customers or patients, and you've had this situation. Listen, I'll take you. You can yell at me about being mad, whatever's going on, whatever. Fine. You can say my patient care is terrible or my work ethic is terrible. Fine. But don't attack me personally. Be like, oh, you're terrible because of how you look or the way you stand or because you come from this family. Da da da. That's personal. You want to attack me about the way I do my job? Sure, by all means, go to town. Yeah, I'm doing a terrible job pitching. You know what I mean? Or I'm throwing too many balls, walking everybody under the sun. Fine, but don't go after my family. My family has nothing to do with me playing baseball. I provide for my family. You know what I mean? It doesn't, so fans are stupid. That's why it's called fanatics, because fans don't think rationally. They think in a moment. I've had those moments when you're mad. I'm like, how did you lose in that game? Especially in a tight game. But
Yeah, it's probably
I think
this
it's
guy
fair.
had. Can you imagine how much money this guy must have had on this game for this guy to say, I want to kill this guy's kids"? Like, think about it. The guy allowed 7 runs, right, all earned in a third of an inning, and Houston lost 13-9 at home. So this guy has some money on this shit, and he's like, "Fuck this." But that's crazy. Yo, you know what? You should get arrested for that shit. I mean, the police are involved. They know
Yeah,
MLB
now these
security.
people are so stupid because they put themselves out to say it. They know who you are. All right. Oh, who made this post? Losh Ruffner. Okay, where's Losh Ruffner? Oh, Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, excuse me. Like, what are you
That's
doing?
it. Yeah, that's it. All right. So
Dude,
now
it's just crazy, man. People are
it's
dumb.
it pisses me off too.
Nice
So
shot. Oh, he didn't get that double play. Sorry, I'm looking at the Mets. Oh, he did get it. Okay,
now I'm
sorry.
watching the Met game too. I hate it. It's okay.
I
It's
get
gonna be
caught
all
up in the
right.
moment.
It's
No, he
okay. We
got the
won the
double play. I
series. We
thought.
won the series.
I don't know if he got that double play, man. It's hard to tell. I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. It was such a bang bang play. But anyway, proceed.
No. So now we're gonna get to a point of the show where it's gonna be very interesting to talk about because, all right, your team is doing bad, right? And
Yes.
you see what's happening in the league right now, right? Everybody's like, "That's it, you're fired," and so now they're getting rid of all these managers. Now they're blaming the
Bud Black,
managers. Exactly.
the
Goodbye.
guy on the
Don Kelly
Pirates.
is gonna be the new manager of the Pirates. I just saw this guy. Take his team
He's here
into City
now.
Field. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He's because Derek Shelton got fired. So the Pirates did it. This is the question of the day now. So the Pirates, they said, "Fuck this guy. It's his fault." Obviously, we already know whose fault it is. It's
The
the owner's
players.
fault. It's the owner's fault.
Well, the owners. No, well, in this case, it's the
Yeah.
GMs because the GMs are not getting the players you need.
No, no, no. If
Yeah.
the owner tells you no, we're not spending. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
well,
how are
that
you,
too.
how are you supposed to get better? So now you get prospects because you're playing horribly, right? And then on top of that, you're not spending. So it's not working out. So now they're blaming that. And then the Rockies do the same thing. Bob Black's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You guys don't. It's not my fault.
But Bud Black has been there for a while. He was there and then got fired and then came back. So he's been there a long time.
Yeah.
But
So now the question
the
is,
problem is the managers don't manage anymore. Everything is managed by a computer, some Harvard geek. Hey, you should do this, blah blah blah. So you take the managing role out of the manager's hands. So it's kind of hard to be a manager.
I mean, when you start the season, right? What 7-33? This is what's going on right now.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
that's I don't know.
that's for the Rockies right there. Like when you
I
start off
guess you
like
could say
that,
that's coaching.
that's pretty bad, right?
Yeah,
And then the Pirates 12-26. When this happened, when the firing happened, what do you? I mean, 12-26 is pretty bad too. It's pretty bad.
mm, yeah. It
So
reminds me of
now,
the Orioles, man.
exactly. So now the question is, the Orioles are like, oh shit, they're not playing well. We have to, do something. We have to get these pitchers in as soon as possible, and we just might have to fire the manager just to show that, show the fans that we're on top of this and we care. I don't know.
Mm,
What do you think about that? You think that your team is next? Because now it's a
like
trend. Now it's a
they're
trend.
gonna throw a chump to the fans. I don't think so. You just throw somebody out after one bad year when he's been there 6 years and every year he's had 500 plus record and 2 year, most of the time almost two out of those, years. Yeah, they made the playoffs and didn't get far, but that's kind of ridiculous. I just don't think they don't have they don't have the pitching talent. If you don't have pitching, man, I don't care who you are. You can have the best guys on your roster. They're not gonna win. And that's what made just I'm thinking about the early 2000 Yankees. They didn't have like superstars on their team. Before they got crazy with free agency, they had a bunch of all the guys they had back in the 2000s. Bernie Williams, Posada, Jeter, Messina, all those guys. Pettit, those are all homegrown guys.
Yeah,
But they
that's how you
have
do
really
it.
good pitching. They had David Wells, Andy Pettit, Mike Messina, Roger Clemens. They had a really good pitching staff.
They
That's what
did.
helped them win. And same thing with the Mets. Won 2015 when they made it to the World Series. They had the best rotation: Degrom, Matz, Harvey,
Syndergaard, Harvey, yeah.
Syndergaard. Who else? Tell me more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true.
Same thing with Houston a couple years ago when they won. They had a really good pitching staff. Same thing with Texas 2 years ago when they won. They have really good. Look at the Dodgers. Hello, they have one of the best pitching rotations.
Yeah.
It tells you pitching is great. You can't just assume. You can't always hope that your offense is going to bail you out all the time. You know, it's same thing. It's like it's same thing in football. Teams win based on how good their defense is. If your offensive team scores a touchdown every time, but then you give up a touchdown every time, what good is that? It doesn't matter. You could score, 7 touchdowns, but if you give up 8 touchdowns, you're gonna lose the game. Same thing in baseball. You know you know the problem with the Orioles is here's the problem: your pitching staff is not giving you 5 innings a day or minimum 5 innings. You're getting 4.5 innings average. So what does that mean? Uh, 7+ innings are is going to be used. Your bullpen is going to have to be used. Oh, nice hit! It's going to have to be used to no. Oh, he got in. No. Oh, come on. Sorry, man. I was looking at this Pete Alonso play.
Yeah, I'm behind you,
Anyway,
so I'm behind you. So let's see what
well,
happens.
I'll let you see, and
Yeah,
you'll see why I say I'm disappointed.
it's okay. I'm disappointed. The game is over in my eyes. I don't know, but
Oh, he
you
might
know,
be safe. His hand touched the bag.
wow,
He
what
might
a
be,
hit! What a hit!
but I'll let you
What
watch.
a hit! Look, he's struggling to get the. Oh,
But look at
he,
the replay.
they said he's out.
But look at the
Damn.
replay slowly.
Let's see. Let's see what happens. We look at the replay. You know what's funny? Because our next segment is about Peter Alonso. We're calling MVP
Speaking of the
now.
subject,
Yes, exactly. I'm not even joking. I swear to you, he's safe. He's safe like a motherfucker.
well, time out.
His
His
left
left hand
hand,
got in there first,
yeah, first, yeah.
but then when the guy went to tag, his hand got off the bag again. So I don't know
And
if
then he,
that's
that's why he
why.
fucked that up. I don't know. Maybe he
You know what I
fucked that
mean?
up. Yeah, we'll see in a second. They're gonna figure
But
that
anyway,
out. Yeah. So
so MVPP, tell me more.
yeah. So this is what we're calling him now. We're calling him MVP. You know. So at the stadium, all over the place, we're calling him that. And now the problem is that if he continues to play this way, what happens now, right? So obviously, he's a Scott Boris, you know, client, right?
Yep.
So he has a opt out of this 54
It's
2 year
yeah,
contract that he got from the
and
Mets is an opt out, so he can play an option for next year. So now, obviously, if he continues to play like this, you know that the Phillies were kind of interested in Alonso. But it's funny, I felt like the Phillies took too long to sign Alonso. I don't know if they even spoke to Alonso. I think they took too long. I heard that Bryce Harper was interested in having Pete Alonso on the team. But
time out.
go
Do you
ahead.
think it's that they took too long, or they didn't want to give him all that money? That's the question.
Oh,
Because I think it's about money. Because
oh,
I mean, you know what? You know what? You know where Pete proved himself in the postseason. He was here. He had a mediocre regular season, but he came up big when he need to,
yeah.
and that's why the Mets gave him that 2 year deal. They weren't even comfortable enough to give him a big contract. They said, "All right, you did a great job in the postseason. Let's reward you." So they did, and now he's rewarding them in the regular season.
Yeah, yeah.
But now they're gonna see. All right, we're gonna keep you. Let's see how you do this postseason because I know they're gonna make the postseason
Season.
unless something, God forbid, happens or he gets hurt. So if that's the case, then the Mets have to say, all right, they got to pony up the money, or you let him go, and if he does go, it's
Oh
either
my
go,
God, it's gonna be crazy. No,
it's either
stop.
go to the Phillies.
Yeah, exactly.
You know he's not
That's
going to Atlanta.
exactly.
He's not going to go to
Oh, he's
Miami,
going straight to the Phillies, bro. It's
and he
gonna
could
be.
go to the
Oh,
Yankees because Goldschmidt's getting past his prime. He's getting old. They didn't give him a lot of money or long term
well,
deal, so the Yankees could get him. Who knows? And he would play well at Yankee Stadium. It's just as short as City Field, porch wise.
yeah. If playing like the way he's playing right now, yeah. But how much money does
Ooh,
Peter
that's a
think he's worth at this point? After this, if this continues to flow into
I would give him
October,
150 max, maybe
150
200,
to for how
200 max.
for what? For how many? For what? For 5 years? For 6 years?
Yeah, 4 to 5 years. You don't want to give him a 10-year contract. If you think he's getting a
Of
10-year
course not. Of
contract, he
course
can
not. That's
fly
what.
a kite because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Talk about. You think he's gonna be crazy and say, "Yo, I need 10 years." I mean, damn.
He's
No,
going to
he's
ask
not.
for 200 million. Yes, he's not going to ask
He's
for 300. He knows he's
of
not going to get
course.
that. He'll
He's gonna
push his
ask.
money for 200,
He'll ask for
but
two
that the
hundred.
10-year, he's got to be realistic. Come on, this guy, he's what, 30 years old?
Yeah, he's 30.
Realistic,
31.
if you sign someone for 10 years, by 36, they're going to be washed out. Come on, look at A-Rod. Look
Yeah.
at all these guys. So what they need to do, what these guys need to do, this is what baseball needs to do. You give out shorter contracts, but just pay up the money up front. You know what I mean? All right. So in the beginning of the contract, here's what I would do in baseball. You give them what X amount of money, right? Let's say you get 200 million. All right, we'll give you a 4-year deal. But at that $200 million, you can get the large chunk of the money up front. That way, as the years go on, it's less you're paying. So that way, you can afford to rebuild or build around other player around him if you need to. You know what I mean?
I
So
got you.
instead of paying him, all right, so you get 20 million. Okay, fine. 200 million. All right. So the first 2 years of the 4-year contract, we'll give you, let's say, 50 to 60 million for the first 2 years. That's 100 million plus right off the bat for the first 2 years. After that, you decrease. All right, we'll give you 20 million, 10 million, 5 million, and then now you spaced it out. The guy gets his money in the beginning, and then he'll be happy. So if he gets hurt or he decides to quit, the Mets don't have to. They're not in a Bobby Bonilla situation where they're constantly paying the guy for the rest of it, or the Orioles with Chris Davis, who they're still playing after having just one good season. You know, he's
Yeah,
a
no,
perfect
bro.
example. Maybe that's what the Mets are thinking. They don't want a Chris Davis situation where guy had one great year, we gave him all that money because pressure from the fans, because he's homegrown, or Chris Davis wasn't homegrown, but and they catered to the fans. They gave him all that money, and now they're stuck paying the guy. Maybe that's what they don't want. I don't know.
Maybe that's exactly what's going on. Who knows? But the funny thing is that, all right, somebody's gonna say, you know what, we're gonna snatch this guy up because this is a new reinvented, Peter Alonso. This is the guy that waits for his pitches. The guy's not swinging at bullshit. This is the guy that you want on your team. This is the guy that's gonna take you to the next level.
Promised land, hopefully,
Exactly, exactly. So
because
now,
that is the name of the game, whether you like
yeah.
it or not.
So and they're losing Kyle Schwarber, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I would consider Kyle Schwarber a
Um,
upgrade over Peter Alonso right now. I can give you the numbers. I can't tell you, but they're losing him. So I can see how they could aggressively go for Alonso and try to overbid
well,
for
I
him.
don't know. Because here's my thing with Kyle Schwarber, right? You could maybe get him 1-year deal, pay him less, or you could give a lot of money to Alonzo, and then just have to eat it up at the end of the back end of those years. So that's what they could do. At the moment, I would take Pete Alonso over Schwarber. I think he's just a little bit more powerful hitter, and he's still a little bit younger than Schwarber. Maybe not by much, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think well Schwarber this year is batting 262 with 12 home runs, 29 RBIs. And he has three doubles, 37 hits, right? And 36 strikeouts and 29 walks. That's not bad.
No,
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. The guy's tough. That's a tough out, man. I like this guy. I'm not gonna say I hate the Phillies, but I like Kyle. It's funny like that. I like
remember
Harper.
Kyle Schwarber came from Chicago.
Yeah, yeah,
Harper
that's
came from
right.
Nationals. They're not
That's right.
homegrown guys.
No, you 100%. I know.
JT Realmuto came from Miami.
It's no joke. I know. But that's what I'm saying. If they want to be aggressive and they want to go for him like that, after but we'll see what kind of money we're talking about too. Like, what's the number now? Due to
Yeah.
Boris is involved, and that's not a good thing. But
Well, Boris is going to ask for a lot of money because his player's producing. And anytime a guy has a big year, his last guy that had a big year produced, that was Judge, and he got a lot of money.
yeah, but
So he's
Judge
gonna
is
want
a
a lot of
different type
money.
of animal. Yeah,
I know, but he cashed in at the right time, and that's what Pete Alonso's cashing in at the right time. So you're like, all right, let's get that bag if we can. See if someone will budge.
let's get that
People are
bag.
someone's gonna budge because
Of course they will.
desperate
Of
teams do
course they
desperate
will.
things. You
Of
know,
course they will. Are you crazy?
that's why I
That's
like the Mets. In my opinion, if Mets go all the way to the World Series because of him, they're gonna budge and give him that money because
they
they're like,
have
all
no
right,
choice.
cool.
They
They
have no
have no
choice.
choice. They're gonna feel more pressure, and he actually produced for you. And actually, like He's like a judge of the Mets. He like carried the team.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
did. He did.
and right
He's
now
doing
he's
it right
getting
now.
great because Soto's struggling. But I'm not gonna worry about Soto because he always struggles in the beginning. Lindor, he's doing better than Soto right now. But
Mm-hmm.
he'll those three guys start hitting and Nimmo and all these guys, forget
Nemo's
about him.
hitting. Yeah, Nemo's starting to hit.
Yeah, he's hitting.
Yeah, he's
But
hitting.
he
It's
has
just
8 home runs,
sporadic.
26 RBIs, so that's not bad.
Yeah,
230
he's had a couple of good games.
EA.
He's
Yeah,
doing well, but it's just that they're not consistent with the hitting. That's what bothers me. It's really they're not consistent at all,
yeah, that
and
is kind of annoying.
it's annoying. It's annoying. You have all this talent, and you expect this guy to come up and hit something for you, but no, they strike out or
Do you think it's a pressure
grounders
issue?
to do great. Yeah, of course.
No, but the New York pressure is that's why they're struggling.
No, I think the pressure
Well, that's
of
weird. I
going
don't
back
know.
to where they were at last year.
Oh yeah, because
That's
now you have
pressure.
higher expectations.
Of course, because they went out there, they got Soto, and
That's
management
true.
said, "Look at us, we got Peter back for you guys." You know what I'm saying? We got Soto. Look what Peter's doing for you
And
guys.
they
And
could add
doors
more
hitting.
people in the spring in the trade deadline too, like the
Yeah,
stars. They could add another hitter. I think they would add another pitcher or bullpen before they add another hitter.
yeah. I don't think they need.
Unless you get,
There's
like you said,
nothing.
Cedric Mullins from the Orioles, then that's a hitter you need.
Yeah, for
He'd
Tyler
be
McGill.
great.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
what
I
would
just want Tyler
happen.
McGill. I don't want McNeil. But either way, I'm just saying I hate Jeff
Yeah,
McNeil.
I
That
know
one is
that's the
garbage.
funniest shit. You know what's funny, man? Jeff McNeil, man. He goes up there, man. I was watching him. He's doing. He's been doing this for years. He goes up there. He gives him. He takes a deep breath. He does that before, and then he steps up to the batter's box, and I'm like, oh man, you're a psycho, man. He's a psycho. Like there's something wrong with him. But
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something wrong with him. I feel bad for him. But he's lucky now. He's able to play a lot more now because he's a filler now. He has to fill the big holes. He has to play different positions. He's a utility man now, which is good for him. He needs that because he's getting older. He has to understand that he's a veteran club presence.
yep,
He's not McNeil. Where McNeil still looks good and feels young, and he's doing this shit out there that's amazing. The catching, the way he's hitting the ball right now. He's hitting early in the season. He's doing well. But we all have that player on our team that's been there forever. That you're like, damn, I should have got his jersey, and you never get his jersey. That's the guy right there. Nemo's the guy. You
yeah.
know, you don't see a lot of people walking around in the stadium with a Nemo jersey, and that's Nemo's like a
He's not a popular name yet.
no, not that he's not a popular name. He's been there for 10 years, bro.
Yeah, but he's not like the it guy. Like he's not like the superstar. He's not the Judge. He's not the Sotos. He's not the
No, he's not,
Lindor of the
but
team.
he's
He's
great.
not, the Harper of the team. But no, you're right.
Unsung. He's unsung. All right,
They want to
so
win this game, man. 4-0 in the
nah,
sixth.
man. Of course they're not gonna win this game, bro. But nah, they will though. They will. You need them to win. I got you. I'll call it in and I'll tell them what to do.
Call the
We're gonna
bullpen.
win it. All right.
Call
I sh-
Craig
I'm all.
Movolkowski.
No, he's not gonna do
He's at
anything
the game,
about it.
right?
Nah, he's not at the game.
I thought he's working medic tonight.
Nah, nah, nah. He's not. He's not.
Oh,
Now this is the
but
funny
anyway,
thing.
back to the
All
what were
right,
you saying?
so now we're gonna go into like deep, deep, deep shit right here. This is about the Pete Crow Armstrong trade for Javier Baez to the Mets. Okay,
Yep, he
and
was on the
when
Mets
when Mr. Baez was playing for Chicago, and we traded for him, right?
because you were in the playoff contention. You needed a shortstop or a
2021,
second baseman.
2021, we missed the postseason. We finished third in the National League East, you know, and we traded for number 5. We gave him Pete Crow, and boom, they gave us Baez. And look at Mr. Pete Crow Armstrong now. Wow. And we didn't get to sign, you know. He signed a 6 year, 140 million deal with the Detroit Tigers in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? Because it
Mm,
was a rental. It was a rental, you
yeah.
know? And whatever, his time here was short, but I didn't like him. I didn't like him. I didn't like him on my team, you know? And now it's funny because he's a superstar this year as well, you know? So both of those guys, you know, that trade worked out
So
for
far, it's worked out
Chicago.
well.
It worked out well for Detroit after signing him because Detroit is doing amazing things over there. And the
Yeah.
Chicago Cubs are doing well too. And I can see both of those teams fighting for a playoff spot this season for sure. But the Mets should have been on that one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
at see, trades are the unknown. You never know. Like for example, the Orioles Machado trade. So far, it looks like the Dodgers, both teams kind of lost that deal because Machado didn't resign with the Dodgers. The best prospect that the Dodgers gave us, he's not even playing for the Orioles or in the majors, I don't think. And the best player that we came out of that trade from the Dodgers was Dean Kramer, and he had a good year last year, but this year he sucks. He's having a hard time finding it. So both teams lost that trade. So trades are unknown. It's not a guarantee that it's going to work. It's just when it comes to trades, you trade the hottest commodity for the hottest commodity. Your commodity versus my commodity, and
Yeah.
hopefully,
It has to match. It has
you're
to
gonna
work.
do it. Especially if you're the contender, you have no choice. You don't care if you let go of Pete or Armstrong because you're trying to win a World Series. If you can win a World Series by doing it, then who cares who you trade away? You want a chip.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because look, you know, in 47 games, he was batting 300, bro. But
Wow.
he was talking shit about the fans when they were booing, and he got a little crazy over there. But look, it worked out for both of them. They're both making it
Oh yeah,
happen.
remember the thumbs down moment when
Yeah.
him and Lindor, and they became a commodity because that famous Mets fan, he was doing it thumbs down, and then they like, all right, we'll use it as motivation. Didn't work, and
No,
they made
didn't
T-shirts
work.
out of it, or that was their mantra. We're the thumbs down guys.
Exactly.
Basically they were basically trying to like giving the middle finger to the fans. Essentially, that's what they were trying to do, especially Baez. I think Lindor was instigated by Baez because Baez is more out there and more willing to speak out against the fans. Where Lindor is a little more reserved. You know what I mean? They're both flashy guys, but more so Baez, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's too flashy for my style. Lindor's a little flashy, but Bias is definitely over the top. I do not like his energy. I don't like it. I don't like it. Not for me. You know.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So here we go. Remember what we were talking about the other day? We were talking about how Tyler McGill, the rumors, and how they will be going after something similar to like what a Cedric Mullins looks like, and the reason why I said that is because that's like the only like real weak spot we have out there. For some reason, Tyrone Taylor isn't really hitting. Great defensive player. Don't get it twisted. I love him back there. But if we can upgrade, you know, with Cedric Mullins, and the thing is that like I said, Shomani is coming back soon, right? And then you get the Frankie Montas, so the rumor starts to make sense, right? Paul Blackburn is coming back soon. So now here we go. So the rumor, especially if the Orioles fall off, there's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna be interested in Mr. Mullins.
And
Okay,
Baltimore is going to be willing to let go of Mullins because,
okay, this is what's gonna
they want to
happen.
give him a lot of money for that one.
Exactly. So at the All Star break, if the Baltimore Orioles aren't in it, there's gonna be a lot of good stuff coming out of this. It's gonna be a fire sale. It's gonna be Zach Eflin for whoever needs that pitching out there. It's funny because the Baltimore Orioles need pitching, but everybody's gonna be thirsty for this guy. And then Sir Anthony Dominguez, right? And Cedric
Yeah.
Mullins are gonna be the hot commodities out of that.
Even Felix Batista could be Hakamai, their closer. Who knows? He
Yeah,
hasn't had much save opportunities.
yeah,
He's
with
gonna
their
need a big
record, yeah.
contract.
So it's gonna be
Mountcastle, he's a free agent. He's a free agent first baseman. They're not
nah,
gonna.
but you're not gonna dismantle the whole team last year. That's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna take. You're
No,
gonna
no, no,
you're gonna
no.
try to get the most out of what you the good stuff, and it's gonna be Mullins, Zach Eflin. It's gonna be those guys, so you can get some good stuff back, and you can kind of like try to rebuild the team in that way. But you're not gonna get rid of the whole team and start fresh. That would be silly. You don't think that would be silly?
Oh no, 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 no. That'd be ridiculous. That's why I think the Orioles they're gonna have to be aggressive. Um, if they can get themselves back to 500 at best,
Yeah,
by the end of June, then they'll be like, all right, we're gonna try to go for it. They'll try to trade for it. You know what I mean? They will definitely try to get a starter, someone that they can have controllability for a couple of years. That's just the way the Orioles are. So if that's the case, then all those guys that um, you could still trade. You could still trade Cedric Mullins to the Mets for Tyler McGill or some type of pitcher like that. Uh, that's like that's a not a it's a good third piece in the rotation starter that's not going to cost you a lot as far as to give up to get
you're
him.
an asshole. Third piece. That
On a
guy.
yes,
No, no. On your team, he's gonna be number one. You're gonna be surprised. All right. You see what happens with. All right. It's funny how. Remember
Baltimore he'll be a
what's
number one because
what's
they don't
his
have a
what's
number
his
one starter.
name? Seth
Grayson
Lugo. Look what
Rodriguez.
Seth Lugo. Look what happened to Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo
Yeah.
was playing, bullpen for the Mets, right? Goes to KC, and he signs as a starter. Now look at him. I'm happy for him.
Wow,
Yeah,
this
it
game
can.
is over.
Nah, it's not over
Pirates
yet.
just hit a home run.
Oh, they did. I missed
Oh
that.
no,
So
that
it's
was earlier. Never mind. It's 4-0
uh,
still.
it's
It was a
4-0,
replay. I
right?
got scared.
Okay.
Bottom seventh, so we still
That's
got a
bottom
chance.
top of, yeah, we still at the bottom. We got, come on, man. We got
You got
three
three
innings,
innings.
bro. What are you talking about, bro?
Came back yesterday, so
Don't worry about the
Genesis
Mets.
Cabrera's pitching. They just gotta get a double play here, or no, just an out. But yeah. So I
So yeah,
yeah
so yeah, so
yeah
he's gonna be a free agent at the end of the season. So obviously, I don't know how they're gonna do it. So whoever gets him is gonna be a rental, and then they're gonna have to figure out whether or not they have the money to sign him. So like, what kind of
or they want to resign him.
exactly? So it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be one of those situations. It's like it's gonna happen fast. It's gonna be one of those come over and we'll sign you right here, right now. Because if he goes into free agency, then
The price is gonna get really high,
and you might lose, and you lose your you
and you're
lose
gonna
the
lose him.
you lose your man. You can't. you know. So the Yankees just they lost their man Oswaldo Cabrera, right? He was
Yeah, he tore
diagnosed
his
with a
ACL. That was
fracture.
crazy.
Yeah, goodbye, right?
Did you see
So
that play? It was such an awkward
nah,
play.
I read about it, didn't see
So the
it.
guy, so I'll tell you. So I saw it. He he came around and he got home, but the way he stepped on the home plate kind of like looked unorthodox, and it's weird because like it doesn't like he didn't like step hard because the way ACL injuries occur is when you step, what happens is your leg goes one way and the knee doesn't shift in the direction that it needs to go. So if you move your foot to the left and your knee doesn't go that way, the rest of the leg doesn't go that way, and you do aggressively hard, that's what causes the ACL to break, and that's what happened in this. That's what happened to Cabrera. But Cabrera's he's not the main star, so they could probably, I don't know if they can replace him, but they're going to. But he's not like a Soto type of guy or Alonso where like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be detrimental for them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't think he's that big of a star. But that's just me. I'm not being a Yankee hater. It's just some teams they're not superstars. Some teams you do know.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Just
saying, I mean, but some people fit well in certain situations on certain teams. So that
yeah,
that so
that can be.
that can be, it just they just gel, it works. It just works.
Yeah,
They might not work on on my team, it might not work on your team, but it works for their team. So a team, is special, because you have to put these pieces together and you hope that they can work together. Look what's happening in Boston right now. It's funny how all this is happening, right? And there's a lot of fuck yous in the air. Like I'm not doing that. You're not doing. I'm not doing that. And then all of us, this team is still winning games. The team is still steamrolling. It's not affecting the players involved on the field. It's not. It's It's crazy. It's actually made them better. I don't know what to tell you. You know. So now that we're talking about better, we have the pitcher of the week, right? Kolek, right? Stephen Kolek, right? Against Colorado.
Yeah,
Throws 9 innings, 5 hits, none earned, 7 strikeouts. And guess who he plays for? The fucking San Diego Padres. Yeah, their pitching is amazing too. Stefan Kolek. Yeah, exactly. All right, I can't wait to get into a series with these assholes. It's gonna be fun. Griffin Canning versus Stephen Kolek. It's gonna be good because this guy's good. Our guy's good too. I'm not scared. Well, I won't be there physically pitching in the game, but they're not scared. And then you got Jason Dominguez, a Yankee guy. On the
yeah, he
podcast,
had a good day.
he had a good day. 3 for 4, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. I think he had a great day. You
He
know,
got thrown out the other day for arguing balls and strikes, and then Boone got thrown out afterwards. That was yesterday's game, but yeah, he's their center fielder. Then he's under, he's still under his rookie contract. So if he can be like a Judge, or if he can be like a Soto as far as the power goes, then they won't skip a beat and they'll just be really good. So that's what the Yankees are hoping for with Dominguez, and he has that raw power that like Judge has. He's a little bit shorter, I think, than Judge, but either way, he has that capability.
yeah. And I forgot about this. Before we go into, I was about to go into the trivia, right? And
Yeah,
I look over and I'm watching the Met game. I'm trying to stay in it because I have a
it
feeling
ain't
we could
over.
come back. It ain't over, right? And then I look at Beatty. Beatty's batting now, and it's
Oh
fucking
man,
hilarious because this guy hits 3 home runs in 2 days. And then he goes, he hits a couple of more, days later as well. Like he's just hitting the ball. He doesn't want to go back downstairs. He's like, don't shelve me. I'm playing well. He's hitting home runs like a savage. We're calling him Beatty Bonds right now. Like he's doing crazy shit. But
yeah, I
we don't have
and I
space
see
for him.
he's wearing Jose Reyes number, so which
Yeah.
should be illegal, but that's just my
I
opinion.
know, yeah. I don't think he should have got that number. It should have gave it to Acuna because it made more sense
Yeah,
to give it
right.
to Acuna.
Yeah, but yeah, Beatty's trying because Beatty knows this is his last chance. If he doesn't do
No,
well on this call up, as far as with the Mets, he'll go somewhere else.
exactly. Oh,
He could
he'll
go
go somewhere
play,
else. Yeah, the way he's playing right now, he can turn into a Wilmer Flores.
yeah, look at Flores. He's made a career in San
Yeah,
Francisco, man.
yes, he did.
Or Ahmad Rosario when he went to Cleveland. Now he's in Washington, but
Now
or
he's moving around too much. At least
he's in
Wilmer.
Washington. Or Eddie
He's the
Rosario on the Twins. He went to Atlanta, did great. Or Jorge Soler did great. So went to the Braves, and now he's with the Giants. No, he was with the
no.
Giants. Now
Now
he's
he's
with
at
the
home. He's at home. We got caught. No, so then no. So, oh no, no.
Soler.
That's
He's
why he
with the
got
Angels
traded. He
now.
got traded twice. Yeah, he got traded real quick, and then he got traded again by the Braves.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bailey, we don't have space for him right now. So I don't know what we're gonna do with him. We're gonna have to get rid of him. It's okay. It's all right. We don't need him. But trivia question. This is a good
Fire
one.
away.
Name the teams that have never won a World Series.
Well, there's one that comes to mind because they played the Yankees in the early 2000s, and they were in the playoffs a lot. And this was the Seattle Mariners when they had what's his name? Was it Tino? No, not Tino Martinez. What's his name? Edgar Martinez, I think, and Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez. Early days of Seattle. So Seattle is going to be one of
Okay.
my guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other one we already know because it just trash. The Colorado Rockies. Brewers. Milwaukee. No, I don't think Milwaukee. Oh Jesus, Atlanta just freaking blew the lead and down. They're down. They're tied 4-4. Anyway, so Colorado, Seattle, in the West, let's see, the Cubs have won it. Cardinals have won it plenty of times. Who else is in the division? Milwaukee. No, Milwaukee. Yeah, I'll go Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. That's another one.
Milwaukee,
So
and
so far
then
you said Seattle, you said Milwaukee, and you said
Colorado.
Colorado. Okay, so now you got a
So
couple more teams there.
okay, give me his American League or National League.
Nah, nah, NL. Right, you got both. You got
NL.
both. You got both.
Okay, so let's just I'm gonna break down the divisions. The East is nobody in the East because everybody isn't that crazy. Everybody in the East except yeah, everybody in the East has won a World Series, so it's not them.
Well, that's not true.
Um.
In what East? In what East?
Oh, didn't oh yeah, the Miami Marlins NL East. The Miami Marlins didn't they win in two
Of
thousand?
course they did. They won a lot
So
of
every
them.
team in the
They won-
National League East has won the World Series.
Okay, how about the American League East?
American League East? No, you said it's an NL team, so it can't be
No,
American League.
no, no. There's both
So,
teams that you haven't mentioned. It's on both sides.
oh, okay. American League. Let's see. Orioles have gone. The Yankees a gazillion times. Toronto. No, Toronto hasn't won, have they?
Yes, they did.
They did.
They
Okay,
won.
so
Yeah,
Toronto's out. Oh, Tampa Bay. They've made
yeah,
it plenty of times.
yeah. But they never won it.
They freaking that the early 2000s.
Okay,
So
exactly.
them they lost to the Phillies. That's right. So the Rays, and then so let's see. Let's go to NL Central. The Cubs have won it. Cardinals have won it. We already said Milwaukee. No. Who else? Pirates. They won it back in the day, so it's not them. So American League West, Arizona. Arizona beat the Yankees, so it's not them. The Dodgers obviously have won twice recently, or been to the World Series. And then Colorado Rockies. Did they ever win a World Series?
No,
I'm gonna go with Colorado.
no, no. You said that. You got that right. But there's another
Oh, that's
team.
right. Oh, so another team in the West then. Okay. You say Arizona Padres. That's
Exactly. Yeah, the
weird. With
Padres.
Tony
Yeah,
Gwynn,
yeah.
they
They
never
didn't.
won.
Never won.
Trevor Hoffman.
Never won, man.
Wow.
I know it's
Jeez.
crazy, right? So now, but out of all these teams that you mentioned, right? Because you mentioned Seattle, you mentioned Tampa Bay, you mentioned Milwaukee, you mentioned Colorado. You got them all. But now there was a team out of all those teams there that didn't appear in the World Series whatsoever. Never. Only one team.
Oh, Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle.
Always make the playoffs every year in the early 2000s. They always play the Yankees, and they're like the Twins. Always make
Yeah,
the playoffs, but then lose.
they get lit. Yeah, they get lit up. That's true.
That's crazy.
No, that's true. That's true.
Um,
That's what happened. So we came down to the end of the episode. We didn't shit on Baltimore too much. We talked about possibilities, and
well,
we're being
yeah,
realistic now. We're being realistic. We're being realistic with the Mets as well, and we're saying this is what's happening. Now we have problems, but you have problems too. So we have to be realistic about what's happening and what's in front of us, and what are we
yeah,
gonna do about it. We have to stay positive and try to figure out what's best for the team at this moment. And I think letting go a couple of good pieces before it's too late. Because if you're not gonna sign Cedric and you're not gonna offer him any money, and you don't feel like he's gonna be
you
a
gotta
pivotal
do
piece
the
of your puzzle, yeah, you have to let
and
him go and
and
try to
if
get something for him.
you gotta get pitching for him, that's what they're gonna do because they
Yeah,
need it. So you get a young pitcher that's coming up that has controllability. If you can get after someone from the Dodgers or the Mets, I don't know if Mets have any good prospects in that are coming up pitching wise.
I'm not
Um,
sure.
if you can get because they're gonna want pitching, that's their weakness. You're
We
not gonna
have, but
pay,
we're not talking about that. We're not gonna give you what we have.
and so if
It's
and
broke.
this is why I don't think the Orioles would take McGill if they're not in the contention because McGill's a playoff contender pitcher. That's who you if you're in the playoffs. If they're not in the playoffs, you're not going to trade McGill. And then also the Mets, why would they trade him if he's doing well, which he's been doing well for them.
Because
So,
we don't have space.
well, you could use him and you could have him on your roster and you know you use him and then you just don't have him on the World Series roster if you go that far. So who
No, no,
knows?
no. They're gonna get rid of him. It sounds
Mm.
about right. Unfortunately, of course, because listen, I like the guy, but I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Last year, you were great.
That was
And,
good. We figured out the problem, so we'll
you
have to
know,
just work on it next time, camera wise.
exactly. And we're going to see you guys next week. And hopefully the Mets can sweep this one, but I doubt it. Have a
Or
good
take
night,
two athletes
guys.
from the Yankees. That's next.
That's gonna happen. But let's talk about that when the time comes. We will talk about that next week for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait. Have a good night, guys.
Peace.
Peace, bro.